Welcome everyone to my how-to video on performing assignment 7043 part B. So we are inside the wiki looking at the assignment prompt, and to get here you can just go to our course Moodle, click on week 3 and click on any of these 7043 links here and it will all lead you to the same assignment prompt. Alright, so at this point you should have already received a peer review request memo. So you should have received 2 peer response request memos. That's these right here from 2 different classmates. And now it's your turn to respond to their requests with advice. So you should have received a job application letter and a corresponding request memo from 2 classmates. Okay, and so in part B, all you have to do is create 2 documents, a peer response reply memo to each draft, and then put them all together with a title page and submit them. So you're going to be emailing these back to your classmates as well as uploading them to Moodle right over here under part B. Okay, so this should have a title page, 1 peer review response memo to 1 classmate, a second peer review response memo to a second classmate. Okay, all right, so let's pretend that this is what you received. You got this peer review request memo, and it has 3 questions that they would like advice on. Okay, and then you've got this draft. Okay, so what I would recommend doing is first look at their memo to see what they're asking about. Make sure you review the concepts for your own knowledge. Look at your notes. You might check out the how-to videos on them. Check out the wiki pages on any of the terms. If they ask for help in revising using the lessons on concision or shape, make sure you review the content there. So first, research by finding out what they need help with and then making sure to refresh your own knowledge of this content. And then come over here and look at their draft. So before you just start drafting, you should probably just annotate their draft. And so that's what I'm doing in here. So using Word, you can go over, and it does look a little different for Mac, but it's basically the same. You go under Review, and you should be able to turn on track changes. I think this part is what's different for Macs. It's like a drop down and you have to turn it on. So turn on track changes. I like to leave it on all markup, that way it shows everything. So what this track changes does is if you change something, let's say I want to remove this word here, I can hit delete, and instead of just deleting it, it will recommend that I delete it. And so the writer can then right click and say I accept this deletion or I reject it, and it'll go back to normal. Okay, the buttons are also up here. Okay, so that's what track changes does. You can also create a new comment just like you can in Google Docs. So if I wanted to write something about this here and comment on it, like ask a question, I can click new comment and write my advice. Okay, so the first thing I would recommend doing after you have figured out what they need help with is read their draft all the way through and then read it through with one goal in mind. So question number 1 from their request is, I'm trying to use show don't tell in paragraph 3. How can I make this meet the criteria for show don't tell better? And they may have, their particular concerns in here, and that's great. Okay, so look out for their particular concern. So if that's their first concern, then I'm going to read their body paragraphs and look for show don't tell specifically, and then I can make direct edits here using track changes, or just highlight a sentence, click on new comment and say this needs to be more show don't tell, and give them advice on how to do that. So once you're done editing this for their first question, go back to their second question. In both body paragraphs, how can I improve my evidence? Okay, so now I'll go back and look at their evidence again and give other advice on their evidence. The reason why I'm telling you to do this one task at a time is because if you try to edit it with all of their questions in mind, you're going to miss something. And so to give quality advice, you want to focus on one thing at a time. And honestly, if the better you can be at critiquing their work, the better classmate you're going to be for them, but also you get a benefit from this as well. You are going to be practicing the same skills as you peer review that you need to use in your own writing. And so the better you're able to apply the skills that we're learning in the class to this peer review draft, the more likely you are to improve your own writing. Okay, so being critical here and really being able to give the writer advice will benefit you as well as them in terms of your writing skills and your grades. Okay, so really try to be thorough in your advice. So once you've annotated the entire document, now you're ready to kind of put that all together. You're ready to synthesize your comments into a memo. So now you need to respond to their peer review request memo with a peer review response memo. So I've got a template up here for you. And in fact, if you check out our Moodle page, this should be up here in our Moodle page under week 3 as well, all the way to the bottom, and here it is. So if you click on that, that is our, if you don't want to use it, but it's a template that you can use, you're welcome to use it. So make sure that you put your classmate's name, only one here, who requested your advice. So this is the person you're responding to, giving them advice. Put your name, okay, and then the date that you completed it, and then, so this is a response to a request, so you would not say subject, you would say RE. So let's put these side by side. Okay, so on the right is the request I received, okay? Notice that the subject line is subject request for peer review of job application letter. So my response is just the same title, the same subject line, but RE, just like we do in email, okay? That way the reader knows that this is in response to what they requested, okay? All right, so set up your template, and then once you have the draft annotated with your comments, now you're ready to answer those questions one at a time. So I've basically set up a structure here, so your purpose for writing, your overall thesis basically. And here I would just summarize the topics that they requested help with. So show, don't tell, sufficient evidence, and the last one that the example asks for help on is connecting the experiences to the job ad. Okay, so that just re-emphasizes that these are the topics I'm responding to, and then down here in your bullet points, this is where you'd give detailed notes about each one. So you can just break this down, show, don't tell, and then give all of your comments in a paragraph form, explaining what you would advise them to do. And then you'd have another bullet point on sufficient evidence. Okay, and so on and so forth. And once you're done writing out your advice, then you can flesh out the rest of the template. If there's anything else you noticed, you can comment on that at the end as well. You don't want to miss anything, let them know. And then just like our opening, middle, and closing structure tells us, we should come to some kind of conclusion. So this is an opportunity to bring up conflicts. So this might be something like, this is how we're supposed to do it, but in my experience, I've found that it really works best this way, or I don't really know how to do this very well, or there's multiple ways to do this. And so that's the sort of discussion you can have at the end, is just conflicts between advice or conflicts between ideas of how to deal with something. Because in writing, there really isn't one single best way to do everything. Even if you're doing show, don't tell well, there's multiple ways that you can do that. It's just, writing is very adaptive. All right, so bring up any conflicts in advice or ideas, and then just say thank you, and that's it. So what you would then do is make sure that you create 2 of these, one for each person who sent you a request, and then you want to email this memo back to the recipient. So whoever the to line is, just email that back to them. But you also want to turn these into me. So if you look on our assignment page, you need to put both of these into a single Word document, put a title page on it, and then you would submit it right here. Sorry, part B. You would submit it right here. Okay, so just like in part A, you need to email this to your classmates, and you also need to submit it to me like our normal assignments. One document with a title page and 2 memos. All right, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about completing this part of 7043, please feel free to bring those to our virtual classroom or email me, and good luck.